Most companies have a GTM strategy, but very few have a GTM that actually gets the money. If your go-to-market feels like a series of broken spreadsheets and missed targets, it's time for a system update. Welcome to GTM, get the money live. I'm Chris Ryan and I'm Lee Parillo, your hosts, and we're here to install the operating system for your revenue. We're moving past the theory and getting into the high-stakes execution of what it takes to scale in 2020 fast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome out to GTM, Get the Money Live. Really excited to have Michael Nelson in studio with us today. Michael, I'm going to let him do his own bio, but Michael is new to the show. I'm not new to his show. I've been on his show a few times, so I'm really excited to interview him for once. But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't tuned in for GTM, Get the Money, this show is all about generating revenue for good and for growth. We want to help companies and leaders make money and then provide funds for their team, for their families, for their communities. Money's a good thing, and we're here to show you how to do some good with it. So, Michael, without further ado, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Nelson, or Mike Nelson, depending on what mood you're in. I own a couple of small businesses here locally in the Capital Region, Saratoga market. We have a media company. We do all the marketing things, some of the stuff that Chris does even better than we do. And then we've actually recently gotten into a bit of automation, helping companies do, whether it's started with marketing automation and then it's moved into a lot of other stuff as well. And then, of course, we have our Hourglass SaaS, which is the new hotness for our company. That's our operations platform built for fractional operators by fractional operators. So it's, that's me.
I'm excited to talk about Hourglass in a little bit because I think it'll tie into our conversation. But yeah, thank you. So I've known Michael for a while. Like, we work together. Our firms have partnered for over a decade, I think.
Yeah,
together.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, so he's done everything on the planet, from product development to, I think when we first met, it was video, and you did a lot of like really hustle shots for us on clients. It was really fun stuff.
Yeah. We originally started back in, I think it was 2012 or 2013, doing social media and building crappy websites. And then, we've learned a few things over the last 14, 15 years, but originally we were doing social media for clients, and, any social media firm will tell you that the biggest problem you have is getting clients to send you content, right? They're like, well, you need to post some more stuff. And it's like, all right, I need pictures, I need video. And so, I had a photography background, no video background at the time. So, thanks to YouTube University, I was able to learn video, and, we spent way too much money on camera equipment and all the stuff that we really didn't need. And, we did photo video for a long time. And, I think you and I just talked about it recently, but, we don't do it anymore. So we now use people that are way better at that than us. So kind of similar to your model, right? You use people that are great at stuff, and then, helps your clients out better.
Well, I think you did a phenomenal job, and I think we did some really cool storytelling back then.
Yeah, that was the part I liked a lot.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm still doing the same slang with a slight polish on it, but you've evolved quite a bit over the years, and it's really cool to see all the new things that you're doing. We started the show because we're trying to solve revenue problems, and I think you have a unique experience on who you work with. So you principally work with SMBs.
Oh yeah. We're mostly pretty hyper local as far as that goes, with the media work that we do, and we do a couple of clients here and there nationally, but really what I tell folks is when it comes to our local ecosystem, we have offerings that no one else has. But national, we're just another company. So it's, we mostly focus, excuse me, sub 1 million in rev for most of our clients. A lot of our clients are in that like $500,000 to $600,000 in rev a year. So they don't have huge budgets. So you got to be very thrifty and very creative and, very on point with what's going to work for that small business market.
So that startup phase, that sub 1 million, where they're trying to get going.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about what is preventing any company from revenue drops. And you came up with a couple things, and I don't know if this applies specifically to the sub 1 million clients or everybody, because it sounded like it applies to everybody. But there were two terms that you said that were somewhat brutal. One was like freedom fighting is one of a huge reason why companies will lose revenue, not make money, not make profit, close their business. And the other one was Ling Chi, which I had to ask AI to make sure I pronounced it right. so I know the concept and the methodology. That's death by 1,000 cuts. But why Ling Chi? Why freedom fighting? Why are those the two revenue problems that you typically see?
Yeah, so the freedom fighting is a term that we call it because, ultimately at the end of the day, philosophically speaking, the reason why we do what we do is I truly believe that entrepreneurism, small business ownership is the truest path to freedom, right? And so that's very important to me. And so that really, as a company, we want to support those people. We want to help them. It's being a startup or a small business under $1 million in revenue is a tough path to walk. So we want to help those folks in any way we can. And the term freedom fighting came along because, you get a small business comes to you and they want you to build them a website that realistically is like an $8,000 to $10,000 website. They got $2,500 for a budget. And it's like, oh man, like I really want to help you. I'll give you actually a specific example. We had a young kid come to us a couple of years ago, starting his own contracting company. And he's like, I have no money. He's like, can you give me a payment plan? Right. So we set him up with a payment plan. So we fronted all the money, and this is freedom fighting, right? Like we're just trying to help these folks out. So we built them a website. I had, obviously it was going to be 6 or 8 months before I even got what my output and labor was back in his payment plan. And then he ended up stiffing me. So so freedom fighting to me is the things that we do almost every single day. We're either a client asks us for something, and instead of us having the conversation with them, say like, all right, well, that's going to be, it's 8 to 10 hours of labor, but we just end up doing it. We don't get paid for it. We don't charge them for it because we know that they are constricted on their budget. We want to help them. And so we just, we call it a value add to make ourselves feel better. But really what it is a revenue loser. And we're watching our profitability sink. And it's been a huge problem for us over the years because we really, my team, myself, we really do care about everyone in the small business community, whether they're our clients or not. So we do so much free work, and it's, because it's the truest path to freedom. So we call it a freedom fighting now, whenever it's happening. I'm like, oh, I guess we're freedom fighting on this one, but it definitely is a killer for revenue. You're working for free. You're not getting paid for it.
Well, it's a business killer at some point too, because I've seen plenty of businesses close by over delivering, being too nice, not collecting, getting paid for what they delivered. And it's not that you don't want to help your clients, but I think the entrepreneurial mindset is that you want to go above and beyond now because you're so passionate about helping your clients that it's pretty common for most companies. And then because you work in the service related business where the time is the product, right? They're buying your IP, they're buying service. This could be an attorney, it can be, anyone, so you see these people starting out who will just give away, I don't say the farm, but they'll give away a fair amount and over deliver in hopes for renewal and hopes for long-term relationships.
You hope that you're buying loyalty.
Right.
But I got to be honest with you. One thing I've learned over the last 15 years is at the end of the day, you don't get the loyalty that you're hoping for from most people. That's not everyone. There's definitely some amazing companies that we've worked with over the years that we still work with. And, we're not perfect. No one's perfect. We screw up. Everybody sucks sometimes, right? So they give us a little bit of grace when we stumble or fall or make a mistake, and which is great. And in return, we do what we can for them when we can do it. But yeah,
makes sense. And we're all avoiding the transactional sale.
Yes,
we're not selling pizzas, right? We're here to help you grow your business. So when you get in that transactional mindset, and then client X goes out and just finds some AI tool or some other carrot, oh, I think these guys can do it better, and they'll save me $30 a month or whatever it is. So so freedom fighting loud and clear, because I think every entrepreneur, not just entrepreneurs sub 1 million, but the bigger companies, once we start working with them, they are regimented, dialed in. And it's not that they don't give away and help their clients or do a value add, but it's the fact that they have a process behind billing, and they have a system behind billing. And they have
Yeah,
a
they've
system
got
how to
checks
do it.
and balances.
Yeah.
And I think, it's one of those things where, and I have to remind myself every time I start freedom fighting, is that at the end of the day, I can't do the work and help these people if I go out of business.
Correct.
And so I have to rein it in sometimes. And luckily, actually, Kelsey, one of our team members, new equity partner in the business just recently. She's amazing. And obviously, I don't know where we would be without her, which is one of the big reasons why she became an equity partner. But she's actually really helped me rein that in, because she's not as let's say soft as I am. Like, because I will give it away. I'm like, especially, we had a young couple, married couple, kids, just starting their business, and they're coming in, and I'm like, let's just build them the website, which we have done before. We've just done stuff for free, and Kelsey's looking at me like, no.
Yeah.
So thank God for you, Kelsey.
Well, you don't look like a softie, but you do have a big heart. And,
Yeah.
and I think you're very generous as a person. But again, in the business aspect, like there's a line, and it's good.
Yeah.
Like Kelsey's your line. Like she's helping us get to that point, or get you to that point. We talked about freedom fighting and how the impact on revenue and how that can really be just kill your business. The one thing I wanted to say about freedom fighting is that we train around not just like upselling and cross-selling, but like the methodology of like helping clients. And for us, like a lot of our front-facing account executives, they're customer service people at the end of the day. They want to make sure your customer succeeds. And they're always like, I don't want to say trying to give stuff away. They just don't understand like the financial metrics behind the scenes. So my point is, we have to help train them and understand like, hey guys, if you go out to dinner or go to McDonald's, hope you don't, and you order a Coke, you have to pay for the Coke. It's the same thing here. By them spending more and getting the service back, it's going to help them, and it's going to keep you in business and help your business too. But that's something that like we didn't identify that we had to train for that until years into the business. And I was like, oh, this is a big disconnect. As a leader, you just assume people get it. Like, oh, I order more, I pay more, but it's not that common, especially for that role. So.
Yeah, I think people that end up being business owners, it's for a reason. And there's a lot of people on your team that are not business owners, and it's for a reason. It's just because they're amazing humans and they're great at what they do. But the understanding the business side, I think until you've been in the trenches and losing money and trying to figure out how to pay a national grid bill and do those things, I think that is a hard thing to understand unless you've gone to business school and you've done all those things. But for a lot of us that are just scrappy entrepreneurs, like you really are learning on how to make money and how to increase revenue and retain that revenue by doing it and just being in the frying pan, so to speak. So it's tough.
Even if you go to business school, like the Whartons of the world, like until you launch, you don't understand like the stress level of not sleeping and not making payroll, and like that grit and that grind that you have to go through on a daily basis. Like you build those revenue muscles. And again, it's not a bad thing for your people not to see that, but it's certainly something that like we have to help our people understand. And I heard this is a financial literacy conversation all of a sudden. I had this I was at an EO event, and they brought in this national bigwig, awesome guy, and he's like, do you know what the average profit is for businesses in the US? Like, take a guess. What's the average profit percentage wise?
I would say 4%.
That's exactly right. So 4%. I was thinking like, oh, it's like 28, 35.
No, that's what we all think it is.
4%. So like, do the math. If you spend a little extra on printer ink or do something crazy, like he made, and he had a big firm and all these big companies and bought and sold and done all these things. And he's like, I had to teach on financial literacy because people don't understand like what it takes. And that's assuming you're profitable. Like, what happens if you're losing money? What happens if you're static?
That's where the death by 1,000 cuts comes in, right? Like the
good segue.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, is he doing that on purpose? That's amazing. And that's the death by 1,000 cuts. And the printer ink is the easy one, right? The overhead number that you're probably building into your pricing. But the death by 1,000 cuts is the stuff that you never considered, never thought about. And, like an easy example, I've got, one of our clients, amazing company, great guy. And, probably every 3 months, he asks us to send him versions of his logo that we've sent him before, right? And no big deal. but that is a tiny cut. Like it took my team, I had to answer the email, first of all, 5 minutes, send it over to my team, another 5 minutes. Then my team's got to take, we'll say 10 minutes to locate the files in Drive, pull them out, attach them to an email, send them to the client. Now we're, let's just say we're 15 or 20 minutes into getting that logo file over to my client so he can send it to his printer or the t-shirt guy or whatever it is. And then that's one client. We have 200 clients.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them does that or something like that. Some little tiny cut, some little request, not a big deal. You're certainly not going to say, hey, I'm billing you for that 20 minutes, right? But now multiply that times 200 clients over the course of a month. Now you're looking at 10 hours, 20 hours of labor to do all these little things. And that will slowly bleed your company dry if you don't figure out how to manage it or figure out how to increase your prices to cover that kind of stuff. It's, when you're depending on how you charge your clients, but even if, you're charging them hourly, like we have such a mixed bag of how we work with clients, and which is something as a company that we have to fix. But we work with clients either on a recurring contract each month. We have hourly clients that just pay as they go. We have clients that prepay blocks of time. And, depending on how, for that client, if they were prepaying blocks of time, we could probably put it into Hourglass. That's one of the things that Hourglass does. And actually get paid for that time. But most of the time it doesn't happen that way. And, our company gets billed by my team members for that time. And again, just 1,000 cuts, man. That happens 1,000 times in a month. That is a lot of money. And at 4% profitability,
it's now zero.
It's not. Yeah, you're getting down to zero, and or if it's really out of control, and you could be in the negative and not even realize it because of all these small little requests.
And it's the magnitude of the amplifier at bigger companies. So you have 200 clients. That's a ton of clients.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. That's a ton of hours. When you get into the heavy SaaS world, and these guys have thousands and tens of thousands of clients, it is just, this is like a real discussion. And most companies, what we do is like, all right, let's build a system so they can get their logo. Fun fact, they're still going to email you and ask you for the logo, no matter how much work. So not only are you doing the extra 15 minutes of work, you're also coming up with concepts to be like, how do I make sure that like our clients have everything they need and they can access it, as opposed to just saying, guys, like, let's have a real conversation, but I know you need this. I'm going to do it for you. But like realistically, like the impact of that's hard to explain to a client, to be honest.
And it's wild too. Because we're B2B, we most of our clients are businesses, right? And they know it happens to them too.
Right.
But it's kind of this thing that nobody talks about, and we all just kind of do it, and we just write it off as the cost of doing business. But at the end of the day, like, it's going to bleed you dry when you're a small business. When you're over $1 million, you're $2 million, you're $5 million, whatever it is, like now you have more cash flow and you have the ability overhead wise to be able to say like, okay, hey, we're getting 100 of these requests a month. It's costing us this much time. Let's hire a position, build it into our overhead and into our cost structure. You can do that as you get bigger. Smaller companies feel those cuts a lot more though. If you're a company doing $250,000 in revenue a year, and you're trying to keep 100,000 of it so that you can survive in today's world, like every time one of those emails happens, those requests happen, you're just, it's literally coming out of your checking account, and it's a tougher pill to swallow for small businesses. And I think it's an important thing from a revenue standpoint of understanding that it's not just getting the money. It's not just about generating more revenue. It's about finding ways to keep the revenue you already have, right? And eliminating or minimizing those tiny cuts is I think is paramount, like, because you don't even know.
So there is financial literacy, there is operational efficiency,
Mm-hmm.
So like this is paramount for an SMB. But I want to push back a little because I think this is a bigger issue for past SMBs, past the startups. Because, and I'll give you an example. We had a client, they were probably 40 million in revenue, SaaS company, crushing it, great product, great team, etc. And they hired us for more leads. They kept hiring more SDRs. The typical old school playbook. Don't do that if you're still doing that in this world. But so they brought us in, and then true GTM fashion, we're like, guys, like, you don't need more leads. Like within an hour diagnostic, we found out they were bleeding like 2,300 clients a month or something like that. So you have a $40 million company losing 2,300 clients, et cetera, a month at a value that is astronomical.
Yeah.
A $40 million company, we projected this would have closed if they kept that model. We're like, you need to fix your customer success. Like, what's going on that you're losing? Like, either you're bringing in the wrong clients in the first place, GTM 101, or your customer success team is having a hard time keeping them. It's probably the same problem. But that is a huge impact to most businesses. The bigger companies just don't discover it as quickly because, you know, you're doing it as a small business, but until you see the bank account, you're like, well, wait a minute, now we have to do something and build something.
Well, and that was, you know, not to plug Hourglass, but when we originally built the first version of this software, it was because of freedom fighting. It was because of death by 1,000 cuts. And we needed a way to see what was actually happening and where it was going and who it was going to, and really getting great data on what was happening inside of our business. So that was how it started 5 years ago. And then it's evolved over the years. You know, we used it as an internal tool for years. And then we brought on some beta testers, other companies locally, and they've been using it for years, and they helped us. They were kind of like design partners to help us understand how it affected their business. Cause at some point we realized like, hey, there really is the reason why we built it is because there was nothing on the market that was doing what we needed the software to do. We were using 3 different pieces of software plus spreadsheets. It was an absolute nightmare. And that in and of itself was just death by 1,000 cuts, you know, on our prepaid time blocks. When we introduced those, we really didn't have a tracking system for it. So it was like, you know, we were using a very well-known product on the market for project management, time tracking, and those kinds of things. But at the same time, if someone bought 100 hours from me, when they would email me, of course, or sometimes text message me to say like, hey, how many hours do we have left in our bank? It would take me 2 hours to answer that question. So like, again, death by 1,000 cuts. Like, so I was like, this is ridiculous. And then I started trying to find a solution that would track that time for us along with the other things that we needed, that the software that we were using was doing. And there was nothing out there. So then I was like, we can build this. And so we started building it and testing it and using it, and, you know, and here we are. But it was identifying freedom fighting that we were doing, being able to track profitability by client or by category or by team member, and then, you know, really being able to, like, for us and for a lot of service-based companies, our largest cost of goods sold is labor, right? We don't really, we do now. We have products that we sell now, but for years, 10 years, we were selling time, period, right? And for companies that are selling time, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or you got a small team or a large team, like, you need to know where every single minute of labor is going. And then you need to be able to quickly run reports on that labor. And that was a big thing for us because, again, death by 1,000 cuts. Like, if you don't know where every single minute your team members is going, and most people don't, for the record, right? Like, most people, maybe they're bringing on salaried team members and they're just like, well, I'm hoping to get this much billable time out of them each month. And it's like, no, like, you need to be able to see where that time is going, what it's being spent on, because then you can look to eliminate, automate, elevate, like all the eights, I guess. And most software that people are using doesn't do that for them. So.
Well, it's interesting how you got the journey there, because I remember when you were prototyping this, you interviewed us and you're like, hey, what are you guys using? How's this work? Take a look at this. So I've seen the different iterations, and now Hourglass is this powerhouse SaaS. So again, back up. Let's give people the 101. Is it timekeeping software that people put their notes into? Like, give us the brass tacks.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that, because originally the name of the software was Time Bank. Right. And it was initially built for us to be able to track time, but also be able to track those prepaid blocks that we were selling. And then very quickly, though, a couple things happened. Like, number one, there are a zillion time tracking softwares on the market. And we were like, if we're going to go to market with this thing, this is not the solution. No one's going to buy it. It's just another time tracking thing. Yeah, it's got some cool reporting. Yeah, it'll track all these different kinds of time inputs, you know, because everybody's a little different. And so we had to say, like, okay, what are we doing with this thing? What is actually going to be beneficial for the market and be helpful? And so we looked at us, we looked at our design partners on what they were requesting and needing. And so what we did was we took all the software that we were using at the time, which most companies, right? You're probably, hopefully everyone, you're using some sort of time tracking. You're using some sort of project management software, right? And there's some great ones out there. There's a million of them out there, right? There's Asana and ClickUp and Trello, and they're all great pieces of software, right? We've used them all. And then you've got, hopefully, everyone, again, you're using some sort of CRM, sales CRM. But you're still on multiple platforms. You've got multiple subscription fees for each one of those. And so what we did was we brought the time tracking and reporting, we brought the CRM, we brought the project management all into one pane of glass, so that we didn't have to have multiple subscriptions, and we pay for the software just like everybody else does. We don't get it for free, even though we built it and own it. But so it's there and it's all connected. So the data is all working together. So it's not, you don't have to look at your CRM and pull reports from there, and then look in your project management software and pull reports from there, and then look at your time tracking and pull reports from there, and then try to line things up for what's happening. It's all working together pretty seamlessly. And you can now get really granular on your reporting. We also, one of the things that was happening to us that was death by 1,000 cuts was clients would ask us how much time they had in their bank. And so what we did was we added a client-facing portal. They can log right in. They can see, one, it looks like an online banking registry, so they can see every deduction, which is time that we've used on their account. And they can also see every deposit they've made in the form of buying time, if they're prepaid. If they're not prepaid, they can still use it to see where the time is going. If they're like, another problem we had was monthly contracts. We were failing to communicate to our clients all the work that goes on behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And then you'd have the conversation, well, you guys are just doing a couple social media posts, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, that's not all we're doing. Okay. So this was a way for us to increase the amount of communication that clients had on the work that we were doing, when it was being done, who was doing it, how long it took, everything. They can also run different reports as well. So no matter how they're paying for our time, they can now run reports by category, by time, calendar dates. They have a lot of ways to look at the data of what you're doing for them, so that they can start to understand and see the value on it. Also, billing was another thing that was like death by 1,000 cuts, where we do so many different things for our clients, right? Like, we're an agency, we're doing social media, email campaigns, content creation, SEO work, AEO work, website edits, blogs, everything you think an agency does, right? And what would happen is, well, when you need to put a description into a QuickBooks invoice, man, that was just like, it was a paragraph, right? Or you're stuck actually creating a document to go along with the invoice and then attaching that into QuickBooks. And I was like, this is taking way too much time. It's eating our revenue. And so what we did was, now my invoices, when we send the invoices, it says see Hourglass for details. That's it. Here's the amount. See Hourglass for details. If you really want to know what you're being billed for, log in. You can see for yourself. And that, it saved us so much time and money over the years now doing it that way. And it's been great. And, of course we just officially launched Hourglass June 1st. So we're, going through looking at, okay, what's the next iteration? What do we want to add? Mm-hmm. We're trying to, when you have software like that, it's really easy to get super complicated, which annoys the crap out of people, right? When it's hard to use, it's going to be hard to adopt. And so there's this balance that we're trying to find with giving everybody everything that they want versus having way too much stuff in there. So it just becomes complicated and people don't want to use it. So, and there's so many things like what we added. So one thing that was happening to us was on both our contracts and on our prepaid time blocks was that people would, or even all of our clients, really our hourlies too, what would happen is they would want to spend a specific amount of money. And so let's say they've got, I don't know, $1,000 a month budgeted for the work that we're going to do for them. And it's got to go across email campaigns, social media, website edits, blog, blah, blah, blah. That's not a lot of money for all that work. And so as a company, one thing that was, again, death by 1,000 cuts, was that we would have to constantly monitor how much our team was spending in each one of the categories. So then we added what we call a limit. So I can put a 2-hour limit on social media for the month. It doesn't stop them from tracking time or doing the work. It just notifies everyone involved that, hey, we are close to, or hey, we just hit the amount of time budgeted for this category, this work category in this month. And that either prompts us to say, are we doing freedom fighting? Right? And are we going to continue to freedom fight in this category? Or are we going to have a conversation with the client to say like, hey, here's the work we've done so far. We are at our limit for the month for this category. We can keep going. We can renegotiate. I mean, it gives you options, gives you the ability to communicate to your clients before it happens. Because I know every single person listening to this has been in a situation where they went and did a bunch of work and then communicated to the client like, oh, there's some overages because it took longer than we thought. And what the client's going to be pissed. Right. So it does a lot of things to help our operations, simplify them, make them smoother, more transparent.
So that's a lot to unpack for sure.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, that was a big diatribe. I just went on there.
No, it's really good. So you built a closed loop system, right? It has these built-in modules that are essentially training efficiency or training that maybe you're charging not enough for something. But I think the outcome is for the client. And I think this is probably not a value proposition you're using, but the understated value of the outcome is that when you're not doing the busy work and billing for the busy work to your clients, you're working on your clients for the effective deliverables. So again, if I have time to not sit there and bill you for 2 hours for invoicing or whatever, and I have 2 hours to talk about strategy and work through how we're going to grow your business, like the output of that, I can't tell you how much time is wasted with time management, project management.
Yeah.
We have entire teams based around these different functions of the business to be able to get it going. So, all right. So that's a really good plug for Hourglass SaaS, but honestly, it's a huge help to be able to pick out the different pieces of all these different pieces of software and build something that is effective, that is simple. That's what HubSpot did. That's why they're so popular. And something that's going to deliver such huge results.
And affordable.
And affordable. So we didn't talk about price. I didn't want to bring up price.
No. And again, I don't know that the price matters so long as the value is there.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of expensive software on the market. But again, when we were building this and going to market with it, one of the things that we kept in mind was who we're freedom fighting for, right? Like who we are trying to help. And so pricing was an issue. I didn't want to create something that was going to have a big financial barrier to entry for the startup, the solopreneur. Like we wanted it to be accessible, but also we couldn't just give it away. And so we made it very inexpensive. It's just a flat monthly fee. There's no upcharge. There's no second tier. There's no, if you want this functionality, you got to pay more, because that's stuff that drives me crazy with SaaS. They hold that carrot of that really cool feature, and then, your price goes up 4 times. And so for us, it was just like, hey, we've got a solo user, we've got a small teams for 2 to 4 people, and then we've got 5 teams of 5 or more, unlimited. You can have as many clients in the portal as you want. There's no additional fees for any of that stuff. And yeah, so it's, if you're interested in the price, go to our pricing page.
Go to hourglasssaas.com.
That's right.
So gotcha.
That's right.
We'll put it on the screen. So no, I mean, I just like the evolution of how you started as a service business. You've always been a serial entrepreneur, and they're like, how can I solve problems? I love that it's mission-based. I love that you're doing good, but also keeping your company alive. You're paying your people, you're helping your family, etc. It's exactly what this show is all about, like delivering revenue. And I think if you're a customer, right, of not ours, just anybody, if you're a customer, you're going to think a lot of this sounds like nickel and diming. But I want to take it back to that point. Like the outcomes for our customers are better because of being able to deliver these things. And businesses literally go out of business for these 2 specific reasons. They go into debt, their family breaks up, all the terrible things happen on something that doesn't seem like it's a crazy thing. But if you're in the service business, you understand that. And the people that do it the absolute best in this world are attorneys. Do you ever build your attorney, you're on retainer, you get a 5-second fax charge? Who the hell uses faxes anymore? Apparently they still have to. But they're so dialed in on like everything costs money, and you're paying $350, $550, $2,000.
And they round up.
Yeah.
They round up by the 15 minutes.
Well, another different episode. But
well, no, it's funny because we actually added that functionality into Hourglass. We don't do it. We charge by the minute. If I did something, it took me a minute, that's what you're paying for is a minute. But some companies don't do it that way.
Right.
And so like we wanted to give people the ability, like we don't want you to change your business to use our software. We want you to be able to adjust the software to fit your business. So a lot of the things are very customizable. And so like whether it's how you're like the billing categories or billing types, you can have as many, you don't have to use just what is stock in comes with the program. You can create your own. Work categories, you can create your own. Whether or not you round up, you can
Do all that.
hit a toggle and you can then choose if you're rounding up 15, 30, whatever it is. And it's, but yeah, attorneys are amazing. I mean, they're like the original fractional.
They're
right?
unbelievable, and you rarely question what an attorney does. So you shouldn't question any other service contractor that does, because they're doing the same thing. Okay, so what's one takeaway? If I'm a CEO, I have a company, I probably identify with a lot of these problems. Like, is it just by the system? Is it run a diagnostic and audit? Like, how do you figure out this mathematically?
Well, I think in all things, if you want to grow something, you have to be able to measure it. And if you want to be able to measure it, you have to track it. So like no matter what the problem is, you need to have some sort of system, whether it's Hourglass or whatever. There's plenty of solutions on the market to help, or just go back to old school spreadsheets. But you have to track information, data. You have to have inputs, and then you have to measure them against where you'd like to be or where you were or where you should be. And then that gives you the ability to make intelligent decisions to be able to grow whatever it is you're trying to grow. And I think at any size business, I think larger, you know, when you get in the Fortune 500 companies, I mean, these guys have the overhead to be able to put in really robust systems. When you're a smaller firm, you're sub 1 million in revenue, sub 500,000 in revenue. I think you really need to pay attention to that stuff. And I know for a lot of us entrepreneurs, especially the visionary category, where you're really good at seeing this big picture, but when it comes to and that's where I am. I suck at execution. I'm great at big picture stuff and looking at direction and being able to see a clear path. And so when it comes to the numbers and things, like that's always a struggle for me. And one of the reasons, again, why we built that software, not to keep plugging it, it really was a big solution for us, given the problems that we face as a business that most small businesses do.
Gotcha. And I think you're great at execution. So don't.
You're just too nice.
So I want you back on the show. So I got to give you a little love.
Yeah, okay, anytime. This is fun, actually, being interviewed on a podcast. I'm always the one doing the interview.
Yeah, I know. And you interviewed me, and then my daughter was running in, and then the dog, and it was a good day.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Thankfully I had the screen so you couldn't tell, but I was rattled. So Michael, we always end the show with a mystery question and where people can find you. So I think you've already answered this. I thought the Ling Chi thing was interesting. So obviously I know a little bit about your vibe and like who you are. You're very holistic, spiritual, got a lot of tattoos, big diesel dude.
I'm a little squishy right now.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think you ever are. But Ling Chi is essentially like, it's death by 1,000 cuts, and it's a torture. Like,
yeah, it's a Chinese torture. I want to say it was maybe, I don't even know, 800 AD, something like that.
1,000, wasn't it?
Maybe 1,000 AD. Yeah, but it's been around for a long time anyway. But it was it's become known as death by 1,000 cuts. I think the original term was something like slow bleeding or something along those lines. But it was the idea was that you could,
torture someone to death
slowly over time. I think that was another term, was slow death. And it was just that it would take a long time to die and it would be very painful. When I first heard that, I was like, oh my God, I feel that's like my business sometimes with all these things that go on. And that's kind of how that all happened.
I mean, we all think that. And I think anybody that's started a business has thought that before. And I think you've answered this mystery question several times throughout the show, but because Ling Chi is so specific in the 1,000 cuts, like what was the final cut that you were like, you know what, I am not going to continue to do this? Was there like one rock bottom moment, or was it just a culmination of all the things you shared with us today?
I think, every business goes through an evolution, and we go through ups and we go through downs, and it happened, I want to say it was 2023, maybe 2024. We were absolutely crushing it, adding clients at a pace that realistically was not sustainable, adding team members at a pace that really was not sustainable. And our business got so messy that those death by 1,000, it was just all day, every day. I just felt like every 5 minutes I was getting one little slice, one little paper cut, right? And I was like, this is nuts. Like, this is awful. And that was when I really started to look at the previous version of our software on what it was doing and what it wasn't doing, at looking at our business, and then really trying to, do the pivot. We're constantly pivoting, especially I feel like I can't speak for other industries, but I know in marketing, like we've talked about this over the years, like you have to reinvent your business like every 90 days because technology is changing. Social media algorithms change. Like all these different things are changing constantly and you have to constantly pivot. And so it was just, I don't know that there was one single cut, but there was a period of time where I was just getting cut so often that I was like, that there's got to be a better way. There's another way. And so we made those changes.
Well, you're smart enough to see that happening too, which I think a lot of us, myself included, aren't, right? I just buy a system or do something and then hire a team, and then eventually you start to see. But I mean, it's good that you notice this. I love that you solved this. I love that it's mission-based, going back to it. I love that it's affordable, and I think anybody can use it. So if you're not using it, at least give it a try. He's a pretty cool guy. So I think there's no contracts, right? Is it month to month?
No, yeah. It's that's another thing about our business. Like we used to do contracts for everything that we did. I've never held anyone to a contract in my life.
Right.
It's like someone's trying to break up with you and you're like, no, you can't break up with me. Right. That's just weird. So, as far as that goes, the relationship with the software, 14-day free trial, of course, and then it's very inexpensive. But yeah, you can cancel it at any time. When I think about the SaaS world, like your $40 million SaaS company, right? Like I think about how they do business, and then I think about us. We're just a scrappy little startup, like we have a dev team, and like I literally, like if you email support, you're emailing me right now. Like we are just, it's a grassroots, like, hey man, like we're trying to build something. We're trying to make it a community of people that have a software that really helps them grow their business, grow their revenue, keep an eye on all these different things without having to go to different window tabs. We've all got enough window tabs open, and yeah. So ultimately, if someone tries the software and there's something they're unhappy with, I would say email me, and we're going to see if it's something that we can improve for you. And we have a few companies right now using the software, and they're emailing me like, hey, do you think we could do this? Could we, it'd be great if we could do this. And I'm like, if we can, and we can do it easily without adding a lot of complexity, absolutely. If it's going to help your business, it's probably going to help my business as well. I just hadn't seen that function yet. So we really are trying to be, I feel like it sounds cliche now these days because everybody says it, but we're trying to be a true partner with the people that are using our software and treating them as design partners, not from an aesthetic standpoint, but from a usability standpoint. So
I like the community aspect, and I don't know if you're familiar with House Call Pro at all.
No.
Those guys had a very similar startup strategy, and they built this community, and it's very helpful. And the CEO still answers. I forget his name. Homeboy's like 6'9", but he is just like, he's dynamic. People have tattoos of like a house call for like servicing like plumbers and construct, like all this weird stuff. But he's built, and it's very similar concept to it. And I think that's refreshing because I think everybody gets into SaaS and they get absorbed by PE, and then it just becomes hire more SDRs, get more leads. The Savannah Bananas are the same thing. It's the same vibe of like trying to add that extra value, and like we're here to create the best experience possible for our clients. And I think that is so understated in the world today, especially in the SaaS world. So everybody just looks at it as like dollars. And honestly, I think that's why the SaaS industry it's a bit struggling with the AI.
Yeah. Well, and that's, and as we look at the AI future, and we've talked about AI, we love it. Realistically, whether it's our SaaS or somebody else's, those SaaS's, we're never going to integrate AI into the SaaS because everybody's trying to put AI into their software, and it's terrible. And like, it doesn't give you the answers you want. So like for us, what we're going to be doing here in another few months after we do a couple more changes is we're going to be allowing your AI to connect to the SaaS as a read only so that it can pull the data for you and you can have a conversation with your AI, because the software becomes the data input. The AI, at least for the foreseeable future, is not going to give teams or companies the ability to use let's say Claude or ChatGPT in this capacity, right? You'd have to re-enter the data every single time, or you'd have to upload spreadsheets, and it's just so clunky. Whereas like for Hourglass becomes the data input location. That's where everything goes into. And then you can, of course, run your own reports, or you can connect your AI to it, and you can talk to your AI to say, like, what trends are you seeing? Where are things going? Who's wasting the most time? Who's doing the most freedom fighting? Who's, da, 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 da. And I think that is, kind of the future of SaaS is people really need to understand that you have to put the data somewhere. You want it all in one location. You don't want to have to deal with spreadsheets because there's just so much room for error and data loss and deletion and everything else. And so the SaaS world is going to continue to be strong and needed from that standpoint. But in order to get answers, we're going to have to integrate on the AI side in some fashion.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds like you're building an MCP. I love that you're doing
Yes.
that. And I think that the data centralization, again, another episode, is the biggest pain point that every company doesn't see. Unless you're a massive enterprise, data centralization right now and where your data lives is so much more important, and that's going to like literally either help companies succeed or die, like, unfortunately. So again, if you haven't looked into managing data appropriately, I would. Michael, where can people find you? I'm going to call you Mike.
Well, you can call me whatever you want. Call me Shirley. So what was your question? Where can people find me?
Not the Naked Gun reference.
Not, at least, I mean, we're
My
of a
question
certain
is,
age.
where can people find you? They can
Where
find you
can
at
you find us?
hourglasssas.com.
Hourglasssas.com, of course. Yeah, definitely go to the website. Please check it out. There's emails all over the website that you can send me a message. If you have a specific question, you can book a demo. Again, we're, small SaaS company, so it would be my smiling face walking you through the demo. We also have our podcast that goes along with it called the Fractional Operator. And that is, each week we had you on recently. We interview fractional operators and service-based companies that are in the field talking about who they are, what they do, how they do it, and trying to, the idea there is to get as much knowledge share in the fractional community as we can to help fractional companies grow. Because I truly believe that the fractional industry has been booming for the last couple of years. It's going to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. And we also have a newsletter that we send out. It's curated posts and articles and blogs from around the internet, specifically for fractionals, by fractionals. And so sign up for that. And, we've got the YouTubes and all those fun things. But
the YouTubes, plural, like it. Can I put a free trial for people if we throw a QR code on the screen?
Yeah,
Sample?
absolutely.
Okay, cool. I'll try to get you more than 14 days, maybe 15 days. So, well, Michael, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. Go.
I brought you a present.
You bought me a present for
Yeah.
what?
Best day ever.
For coming on the podcast?
For you coming on my show.
Oh, well, I didn't get you anything.
That's okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice.
I swear to God, this isn't an Hourglass commercial, but it is now.
It is now. I know we definitely did not intend to
Oh.
spend that much time on Hourglass, but
No, I'm excited because I do think I always focus on the outcomes in the big picture. And I think regardless of, it's a phenomenal piece of software, it's what you've built and why you've built it is why that will be sustainable. So kudos to you. And again, I love you. You're a good guy. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for the t-shirt.
appreciate you, man.
I feel a little like I'm at Christmas and I didn't get somebody something.
I know. I was going to do a Sean Ryan, bring you some gummy bears kind of thing.
That
but
works too. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of GTM Get the Money, where we serve companies and CEOs to deliver revenue for good and revenue for growth. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.
We